Welcome to the Food Bank of South Jersey's Child and Adult Care Food Program Food Sanitation Training. This training will cover common types of food contamination and the conditions at which they most commonly occur, basic food handling principles, and the food security checklist. Proper food safety and sanitation must be practiced to prevent program participants from sickness due to food poisoning. Illness caused by food is a serious problem that affects millions of people each year. The CDC estimates that 1 in 6 Americans get sick with food poisoning each year, leading to 128,000 hospitalizations and 3,000 deaths. Food can become contaminated by chemical, physical, or biological agents. Chemical hazards include residual pesticides on unwashed fruits or vegetables, and cleaning supplies. Physical hazards include anything that gets into food and contaminates it, such as bugs, rodents, or hair. Biological hazards include viruses, bacteria, and parasites. We will now discuss biological hazards in more depth. Biological hazards can easily contaminate food and cause serious illness. Microorganisms are often very persistent and can survive even when measures are taken to kill them. Under favorable conditions, they thrive. For example, bacteria can double their population every 10 to 30 minutes. Unfortunately, conditions favorable for food storage are also often favorable for microbial growth. For example, most bacteria thrive between 41 and 139 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature at which many foods are stored. Microorganisms can grow readily under certain conditions that can be summed up using the mnemonic device Fat Tom. First is food, referring to the nutrients the food product itself can provide to a microorganism. Protein-rich foods, such as meat or milk, have a lot of nutrients that can nourish growing microorganisms. Next is acidity. Microorganisms thrive in conditions between 6.6 and 7.5 pH. Accordingly, foods within this pH are particularly susceptible to microorganism growth. Next are time and temperature. Foodborne pathogens grow best in temperatures between 41 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This range is referred to as the temperature danger zone. When food is left for too long within this range, it becomes susceptible to pathogen growth. Almost all microorganisms require oxygen and moisture to grow. Limiting the amount of oxygen and water food is exposed to can greatly reduce microorganism growth. The FDA regulates how much free water is allowable in certain products to prevent the growth of particular microorganisms. We will now go through the proper food safety procedures for meal service, from food preparation to food storage. Sections marked dinner sites only apply only to those sites, whereas other points refer to all CACFP sites. Before touching any food, one must first wash their hands. Furthermore, any surface the food will be placed on must be washed. Dinner sites need to ensure that all fruits and vegetables are washed thoroughly, and that when using cold ingredients, to measure out only the needed quantity before immediately returning the container to the refrigerator. These 6 steps must be followed in order to properly wash one's hands. Ensure that warm water and soap are used and that you scrub for at least 20 seconds. Be sure to cook food thoroughly before adding any additional ingredients. The heating process is the most reliable way to kill microorganisms present on the food. Interrupted cooking negatively affects this process. Always use a thermometer to determine if meat has reached a safe internal temperature. All meats should be cooked to the temperatures listed on the slide. When microwaving food, always use a microwave-safe container and stir halfway through the designated cooking time. It is important that food is served in a hygienic environment. Always wash hands before serving food and wipe down any surfaces that food may come into contact with. Any utensils or dishes should be stored upside down to protect them from contamination. Dinner sites need to ensure that no food is kept at room temperature any longer than necessary and never longer than 4 hours. Remember the temperature danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, within which food is at higher risk for contamination. When handling food, use common sense and practice good hygiene. Clothes and hands should be kept clean and loose jewelry should be removed. For sites that prepare food, some kind of hair restraint is required. One way to reduce the risk of food contamination is through the use of gloves. Gloves must be removed when leaving the immediate cooking or serving area and should be changed any time you change tasks. Immediately replace gloves that become torn, soiled, or contaminated. At snack sites serving only pre-packaged foods, the use of gloves is recommended, but not required. At dinner sites, gloves must be worn when preparing and serving meals. When cleaning surfaces, use a food service disinfectant or a mixture of bleach and water. Again, all surfaces must be cleaned before serving or preparing any food. Paper towels are recommended for wiping surfaces rather than sponges or cloth towels that can harbor bacteria. All CACFP food must be stored in a clean and secure location. Dry food should be kept off the ground to prevent rodents and insects from getting into it. Food storage areas should be kept locked and should only be accessible to authorized staff. Dinner sites need to ensure that cold product is kept at the proper temperature upon delivery. Thawing meats should be done on the lowest shelf of the refrigerator to ensure that the juice does not contaminate other food. As a food handler, you must be aware of any personal behaviors that could contaminate food. These include wiping your face or hair, coughing, or wearing dirty clothing. Be sure to thoroughly wash your hands after doing any of these behaviors. The food security checklist is a series of 6 steps that, when followed, can help prevent foodborne illness. First, be aware. If you notice an unusually high number of sick participants or see participants with mysterious illnesses, be aware of the possibility of a common food source as the cause. Second, be prepared. Know what to do in an emergency or if an outbreak occurs. Be sure that your food is always kept in a secure location. Always be alert and have a list of important phone numbers to use in the event of an emergency. Be secure and aware of any signs of tampering or contamination of food. Ensure that proper hygiene and cleanliness procedures are followed. And lastly, if an issue arises, be sure to notify necessary people. The following resources provide additional information on proper food handling and food safety. If you have questions about anything presented in this video or would like more information on any topics covered, please contact Amanda Conover, Direct Service Associate. Thank you for your participation in the Food Bank of South Jersey's CACFP Food Sanitation Training.